Hey guys, okay, welcome back to the next installment of my series on growth and fixed mindsets. Now, I hope you're enjoying these so far and getting a lot out of them. Please let me know if you are. I've got a bit of feedback for you though. Not really, I'm only kidding, but how do those words actually make you feel? Why is it that we typically find it quite uncomfortable to receive feedback? Well, one of the fascinating aspects of this for me is that it can be very hormonal. Two hormones tend to cause problems for us in our struggle to accept and act on feedback: cortisol and adrenaline. Now, cortisol is a stress hormone. It raises our awareness of threats and increases our heart rate in order to prime us for handling the threat itself. That's all well and good when our ancestors were on the African savannah watching out for predators on the horizon. However, it is slightly less helpful in the 21st century urban jungle. Unfortunately, our bodies interpret feedback as a threat to our peace of mind and our well-being, which means that our bodies start to produce cortisol even when we believe there's a chance that we're about to receive feedback. Now, once feedback has actually been shared with us, well, the threat has now been confirmed, hasn't it? And our bodies then go on to produce adrenaline. Now, adrenaline focuses all of our body's energy and resources upon the threat at hand. And blood is diverted into our muscles and, unfortunately, away from our brains. And that means that rational thinking tends to go out the window in these circumstances. Adrenaline, it triggers our fight or flight or freeze reaction, which is why many of us respond to feedback by either becoming quite defensive or trying to end the conversation quickly. Now, it's really important to mention that hormones aren't the only factors at play in these circumstances. The person giving the feedback, the certain circumstances they're doing it in, and how they present the feedback will all factor in as well. But just from the hormonal perspective alone, you can see why our default response to feedback is usually that of the fixed mindset character. Taking feedback and criticism personally, getting defensive and stubborn as well. And therefore, we actually fail usually to receive, act, or generally gain all the benefit that the feedback could offer us. And there are some really big potential gains to be had from feedback. It can be incredibly valuable stuff. Now, it is a fantastic tool to continue learning about ourselves, about our actions and our behaviours, and also how those actually tend to be perceived and impact on others. It can help motivate us and help us to improve our performance. If we can accept and get over our fears, then we can harness that for our benefit. So there are numerous books all about how to accept feedback better, listen and learn and improve. I couldn't possibly cover all the points that they do in a short video like this. So what I'll do here is summarise what are my key takeaways for you. Number one, develop the habit of asking for feedback. Just like an exercise at the gym, the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Really listen. This is the second point. Listen to what the other person has to say. Don't interrupt or start thinking about what you're going to say in response. Actually allow the content of the feedback to be absorbed, even if that means, having to take it away and chew it over in your own time before responding. Thirdly, find something in the feedback that you actually agree with and allow that to lead your response. Even if you disagree with the main content of what the person is feeding back to you, if you start out with a collaborative approach, a collaborative mindset, you're both on the same side of the table and you won't be seen as defensive or resistant. Remember, this feedback's important. You want more of this to come to you. You don't want to be putting people off giving it to you. Now, next, it's recognise that you have the power to make changes based on the feedback or not. Receiving feedback well means engaging in the conversation and actually making thoughtful choices, basically about whether or not you use the information given. And then lastly, follow up. Circle back with the other person later on after you've had the chance to think on their feedback and maybe put it into practice. Ask them whether they've actually begun to notice any improvement and ask them for accountability. So that's my 5-point plan for receiving feedback well. Let me know what you think, and if you can see yourself getting over that initial fear, that hormonal hill, to get all the insightful goodness next time. So I figure it would just be rude not to follow up this video with how to give feedback effectively. So that's what the next video in my sequence is going to cover. Get ready to train yourself to be an insight delivering, golden nugget offering badass. Until then, remember, the most important thing about making a positive change in life is having a great reason. What's yours?